ready. Glad you guys are here with us this evening. And, of course, the entire gang will be back right now. We got the whole crew here to help walk us through what happened in this game. We've got Shaquille O'Neal presenting with all of his trophies. Kenny the Jet Smith, who has also won championships, just not able to show us the hardware in this moment. And Isaiah Thomas, another Hall of Famer and another champion here with us. Guys, thanks for sticking around. This is going to be very interesting. The first thing I'd like to bring to your attention, this is the largest loss the Miami Heat has suffered since January, when they lost also in the city of Orlando by 20 points. Is anybody surprised that this happened in Game 1? Kenny, start with you.
I would say I'm surprised at the ease that Lakers had, in the second and third quarters. But, Isaiah, myself, and Shaq, we've all seen Game 1 blowouts. When I was a teenager, or even before a teenager, the Boston Massacre, when they blew out the Lakers and all of those kind of things. So you see this in a series. It's just one game. But what I did notice, and Isaiah, you could kind of touch on this as well, is that the Heat have to get more athletic. They do look better when Nunn is in the game. They do look better when Olynyk's in the game. I would try, with Jones, who had been a really big contributor to them throughout the regular season, possibly could see some minutes in this game, because they have to get to the shooters in the zone quicker, and they have to get back on defense quicker. So I think they have to get more athletic in game 2 to make it more, to contest more shots.
Isaiah, I'm glad that Kenny brought you up, because actually I wanted to get to you next anyway. You have some experience in the finals with Game 1s, dealing with lots of injuries to the opponent when you faced the Lakers, and they had 2 of their significant players, their stars, go down. What is the mindset of the other team? In this case, it was you, the Pistons. Tonight, it was the Lakers. Do you need to step on their necks and finish them off?
That's why it's called a marathon and not a sprint. And Kenny and Shaq, all of us have won championships, and the toll that it takes on your body throughout the year, and then you're going to face injuries, in the finals. And when you have an opponent down, you really have to make sure that you don't let them have any confidence or any belief that they can come back in this series. And when I look at the Lakers right now, the Lakers are bigger, they're faster, and they're stronger. And, Kenny and I, we have Shaq sitting here, one of the most dominant players ever in our league. And, when the player is bigger than you, and he's faster than you, and he's stronger than you, the only thing you can really rely on or depend on is if that player makes a mistake that gives the smaller athlete a chance to win. But if that bigger, faster, stronger player doesn't make a mistake, then that smaller player has no shot. When I look at the Lakers, they are bigger, faster, and stronger. And LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they're not making any mistakes. So consequently, the smaller Miami Heat really didn't have a chance to win tonight.
Shaq, I want to come to you and ask you about Coach Spoelstra, since you did play for him in Miami. When you look back to the series against Boston, when the Heat lost pretty big in Game 3, Spoelstra said afterwards he was glad they had so much time, because he really wanted them to think about the loss. Speak to the mindset of Spoelstra and what they might be thinking after this loss moving forward to Game 2.
Well, it's obvious that the game plan was to crowd LeBron James, double LeBron James, because when you look at the Lakers, and Isaiah and Kenny knows this, they have guys that can knock down shots, but they're not a great shooting team. So when you play against a guy like LeBron James, you say, okay, LeBron, get 50, we're going to control the others, or we're going to stop LeBron and beat us from the outside. The Lakers shot the ball very well. Now, the question is, can they shoot like that, a high percentage from three-point land, in 3 more games to win the championship? Only time will tell. Eric Spoelstra, he's the master of making adjustments. They're going to make adjustments. They know they didn't play well. When you're dealing with the Miami Heat culture, Kenny and Isaiah also knows this. When you play a bad game, you can't sleep. You listen to all the press. You're looking for more fuel to add to the fire. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards. They're going to have a walkthrough. They're going to watch film. And, Jimmy is not soft. Bam is not soft. If they could, take some anti-inflammatories, if they can come out there and play, they're going to come out there and play. Anthony Davis said it best. We can't have another slow start because the Lakers from the outside, they shot the ball well. They were down. They came back. They really started shooting well. They was able to get the lead and keep the lead. But I agree with Isaiah. The Lakers are bigger. They are faster. They are stronger. But I expect the Heat to come out with much more effort. They don't want to hear that, we're injured and, we can't play. They're definitely going to compete. But the question is, and, for everybody out there watching, can the Lakers shoot the ball like that consistently to win a championship? Only time will tell.
Well, you brought up the master of adjustments and head coach Eric Spoelstra for the Miami Heat. Let's listen to what his post-game comments are. My favorite things that we do. Welcome back inside the studio, at least for me. Everybody else is on your screen. Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, Isaiah Thomas. Kenny, let's start with you. I want to talk a little bit about Anthony Davis and what he's been doing here lately in the playoffs. He has been their go-to player. He's been on fire as we show you this shot chart. It is a little bit complicated, but I'm going to help you out. Red means fire, as in he's hot in those red zones. What do you think about his play, Kenny?
Well, it seems like the only zone that he's not hot is on the other side of the court, on the other side of half court. But, it just shows his versatility because he can score in the mid post, he can score in the low post, and he can obviously shoot the three. Obviously, shooting it better from the middle and from the right side than anywhere else. But I think the difference will be, Stephanie and Isaiah and Shaq and Steve can answer this as well. I think there's going to be a difference where I think it's game one, playing against a zone for a particular time. The Lakers who are not perimeter, that zone, I think you'll see a heavy dose of it from Miami because they score so easy in the paint. So it's interesting to see what they do against the zone. Where does Anthony Davis play against the zone as well? Will be interesting to watch as we break this down. So I'm really interested to see what they do with that. Zeke or Shaq or Steve, what do you think about that?
Kenny, I think you hit it right on the head. I think that zone. Well, go ahead, big fella. You want?
No, go ahead, Steve. You're older.
I think Kenny hit it right on the head. I think that zone is going to be interesting, like Kenny said. Where does he play? And I think when you start to look at zone, we all played against it in college. It takes away your aggressiveness. You got to be a guy that can play in that mid post, be able to make plays for other. And that's the one thing I want to see from AD is be totally aggressive against that zone.
Shaq, let's go back to you. In the tease, I heard you singing about Tyler Hero, about how good of a player he is. What is it about that young guy who can score 37 points off the bench and feel as if nothing worries him at all? What do you like about him?
Well, ever since I've been an NBA fan, of course you marvel over the legends like Isaiah and Joe Dumars, but it's always the others like a Dennis Rodman or Vinny the Microwave, Kenny the Jet Smith, Sam Cassell. For me, it was Big Shot Bob, Rick Fox, Robert Horry. Others are what can propel you over to, get that championship. And listen, everybody loves shooters, and a guy that can come and stroke the ball like that and, have good games like that, he's going to, help Miami become successful. Of course, everybody's looking at, LeBron James and AD, but you got to have the others stepping up playing big. A lot of people forget that LeBron's first championship, it was a guy similar to Tyler Hero, a guy by the name of Mike Miller. He was shooting the ball so well that one time his shoe came off, then he came down and still hit a three. So Miller, the importance of having a shooter. So, I've had the great opportunity to play with a lot of shooters. I love shooters. I love others. And these 4 shiny gold balls over here, they're not only mine. The others helped me get all these 4 balls. So you will always hear me talk about and respect the others. He's not a superstar yet, but he's an other. He has a role. His role is to come in and knock down shots. He's been doing that. And I look for him to have a pretty big series.
Well, among that Miami Heat young group, Isaiah, they've got a gentleman by the name of Bam Adebayo who has figured out how to go from other to all-star quite quickly.
Yeah, when you look at Bam, Anthony Davis, they have very similar games. And what I mean by that, they both can handle the basketball. They both can play on the perimeter. They both are excellent passers. And they both can initiate offense. They like to play in the low post and also at the mid post. Bam is very good passer from the high post. So, Davis has the height advantage. But, when you look at these two players, they're very similar. Miami offense runs through Bam. He is their primary decision maker from the high post. They trust him with the basketball. And we saw in that last series, at the end of the game, they gave him the basketball to basically break down his man one-on-one. Came back, had a big closeout game. So I look for Bam and Anthony Davis to really match up strong. And in the zone, Kenny, when you talked about the Lakers having to face the zone, look for Anthony Davis to be a great offensive rebounder in this series because he'll hang around the basket. And as we know, Miami zone, they like to play their two small guards in the back. And the bigs will have a field day around the glass on missed shots. So offensive rebounding will be a key in this series if Miami stays in the zone.
Well, we will certainly watch those numbers along with the matchup you mentioned with Bam and AD. We're going to be back, you guys. We're going to take a quick break. Still to come, as promised, Draymond Green will join us. And next, Smitty sat down with Dre's former team.